Ottawa has signed off on the $50 billion mega merger between British natural resources powerhouse Anglo American and Canada's Teck Resources Limited, two major players in the global mining industry.
The federal government has approved a massive shakeup in the mining world. London-based Anglo American has received federal approval to acquire Teck Resources, making two major mining giants one in a $70 billion merger.
We caught up with the Premier this morning after an important meeting here in the city, and he says that everybody at the provincial and federal level are on the same page.
Breaking tonight, Canada has quietly shifted the balance of global mineral power, while the United States scrambles in desperation. Mark Carney didn't make a speech. He didn't negotiate with headlines in mind. He acted. And what he did today will reverberate through North American supply chains for decades. The story begins in northern Ontario, where the Ring of Fire, a mineral treasure trove worth over $60 billion, has sat largely untapped for generations. Nickel, copper, chromite, titanium, platinum, vanadium, gold, everything that powers batteries, semiconductors, electric vehicles, drones, satellites, and the data centers of the future. For years, bureaucratic roadblocks, overlapping federal and provincial regulations, and political infighting kept these resources locked underground. American companies looked on, dependent on foreign minerals and foreign processing. Tesla sourcing lithium from overseas, Ford Motor Company reliant on foreign refineries. The United States, despite sitting on a continent rich in minerals, had ceded control to global powers like China. But today, that reality changed. Standing alongside Ontario Premier Doug Ford, Carney signed a historic framework that eliminates decades of inefficiency. One project, one review, one decision. No more duplicative federal and provincial assessments. Environmental reviews now run on synchronized timelines, Indigenous leadership respected, standards upheld, and construction set to accelerate starting 2026. This isn't bureaucracy, this isn't symbolism, this is strategic competence in action. For the first time in Canadian history, federal and provincial governments are working in complete coordination, respecting First Nations leadership while moving Canada's resource economy into the 21st century. Consider what just happened. The roads planned to connect remote fly-in communities like Webkey and Martin Falls to provincial highways will no longer be delayed by jurisdictional disputes. Mining operations that could have taken years to navigate through duplicative assessments will now move forward in months. Investors who once hesitated now have certainty, timelines, and regulatory clarity. Companies like WU, Juno Corp, and Teck Resources are recalculating schedules, planning operations, and committing capital. This is Canada rewriting its own rules for economic sovereignty. The Ring of Fire is no longer a project waiting for permission. It is a launchpad for global industrial leadership. Carney's framework doesn't just accelerate mining, it reshapes the entire critical mineral landscape. With synchronized environmental assessments, Canada can now position itself as the most reliable source of minerals for batteries and semiconductors in the Western world. Europe scrambling for supply. American companies pleading with China. Meanwhile, Canada quietly holds the solution. And the timing couldn't be more perfect. The global electric vehicle market is exploding. Gigafactories rise across North America and Europe. Battery demand is surging. Semiconductor production requires nickel, copper, and rare minerals. Data centers consume unprecedented amounts of critical resources. And Canada, after years of regulatory paralysis, is ready to supply it all. Contrast this with America. Trump-era tariffs destabilized supply chains. Domestic extraction and processing failed to meet demand. State governments fight federal agencies. Indigenous consultation is fragmented or non-existent. Environmental reviews are weaponized, political agendas interfere, and long-term planning is impossible. U.S. companies remain dependent on China and other foreign actors for minerals they desperately need. The contrast couldn't be starker. While Washington wrestles with internal chaos, Canada has built a predictable, efficient, and strategic framework for industrial growth. And here's the beauty of it. Carney's approach isn't hostile. There are no counter tariffs, no aggressive rhetoric, no provocation. Every decision emphasizes Canadian strength and independence, not American weakness. Federal procurement now prioritizes Canadian suppliers, ensuring domestic industrial capacity, job creation, and long-term economic stability. Roads, highways, and mining infrastructure now serve communities, not just corporations. Indigenous nations lead environmental assessments. Federal and provincial authorities align their reviews. Standards remain intact. Efficiency meets respect. Competence meets sovereignty. The global implications are profound. China currently dominates over 80% of rare earth processing. Europe competes fiercely for access. The US remains structurally dependent. But Canada? Canada can now supply the minerals, process them responsibly, and serve as a reliable partner to international industries. Investors from Australia, South Africa, and Europe are watching closely, recognizing that Canada's coordinated governance model is a blueprint for resource sovereignty that no other Western nation has executed at this scale. This isn't just mining, this is industrial strategy. It's economic nation-building disguised as regulatory reform. The roads to the Ring of Fire won't just transport ore, they'll transport opportunity, jobs, and prosperity to isolated communities. Indigenous leadership will no longer be an obstacle, it will be the guiding principle. Federal-provincial cooperation isn't a political compromise. It is the mechanism that turns decades of paralysis into months of actionable progress. And consider the ripple effects. For U.S. companies dependent on foreign minerals, the clock is ticking. Every ton of nickel, copper, and rare earth that Canada develops domestically is one less ton they will import from unstable or monopolistic markets. Supply chains that Americans relied on for decades will now be supplemented, if not surpassed, by Canadian independence. Canada doesn't need American approval. It doesn't need American capital. It doesn't need American policy to succeed. The decision to act efficiently, competently, and collaboratively has unlocked billions of dollars of critical minerals, decades of potential growth, and a dominant position in the global battery market. And let's be clear, this isn't hypothetical. Construction is slated to begin in 2026. WU's Eagle's Nest feasibility studies are nearly complete. 2 underground mines producing nickel and copper could soon come online. By 2030, Canada could be supplying a major portion of North America's critical minerals for EVs, batteries, semiconductors, and tech industries.